Hugh Holston, welcome to Not Just Headlines.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Lily.
So you are back again for a second time in person this time. I know we
All
did
right.
a small little interview last year,
We did.
but as a refresher, who are you? You're an at-large candidate, but why did you decide to run for office? Just kind of give us a recap.
Just a quick recap. Back in September of 2021, I was appointed to Greensboro City Council.
Yes.
And then in July of 2022, I ran for the seat and was successful. Um, that's who I am, Greensboro City Council member at large. Why am I running? Because I care about the community. I care about the place where I live. When I was growing up, my parents insisted that all of us become a part of the community, not just our house, not just our street, but the whole community. They led by example. For instance, every time there was a chance to vote, my parents took me with them, always. Rain, sleet, snow, or hail. I carried that through to where I am today. And because of the voting piece, because of being involved in the community, being on city council is kind of a natural step from there. It's about public service. It's not about me, it's about serving the others around me and listening to their challenges and their successes.
And what community feels like home to you in Greensboro?
Where I live in District 1 in Southeast Greensboro. My wife is actually from Greensboro. She grew up in Ray Warren Homes. And her family moved to District 1, Randleman Road. And we moved here, and it has really become our home. Wouldn't want to live in any other place.
And what do you feel like is the biggest issue facing Greensboro currently? And has that shifted and changed over time? Or do you see in your position on city council that the same issues are constantly being brought up?
A lot of times it just depends upon where you sit as to what is the most important challenge. Uh, Economic development, making sure that there are enough jobs and resources and wages in the community. Public safety, violence. Is it to the point that folks don't want to live here? Housing, homelessness. Folks need a place to live. Housing is a human right. I believe strongly that housing is a human right. We have to find a way to make sure there's enough housing. But because of COVID, when the supplies and things stopped, we stopped building, but the need grew. That created that bigger gap. And then you have the income gaps and the like. For me, between economic development, public safety, and housing, it's all three. We're going to have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We can't just solve one thing. We've got to solve them all. But housing, getting a roof over your head, getting out of the elements, critical. But you can't do that. You don't have any money to stay there. And you don't feel safe, and your family feels safe. So all three, walk and chew gum at the same time.
Absolutely. And do you feel like all the districts, I mean, you're representing the entire city, face similar issues? So how do you stay connected to the different needs in different communities and neighborhoods?
Great question. As an at-large candidate, I had the opportunity to be around the entire city. And our entire city isn't equitable, plain and simple. There's some parts of our community that are thriving more than others. One thing that I have in my heart is that each and every district in our city needs to look like all of Greensboro. And I'll say it again for the people in the back. Each and every district in Greensboro needs to look like all of Greensboro. That means that those districts, those communities that have been neglected in the past, we need to have extra investment in there, extra infrastructure to make sure that they come up. And then when we're all strong, we can have everything that we want in each one of our council districts, each one of our city districts. If I want a brownstone home, I should be able to get it on Randleman Road or North Elm Street. If I want a senior living, same thing. I should be able to live in the community that I enjoy and have all the amenities and accoutrements that everyone else enjoys. Don't really have that today, striving to get there.
And you're on a lot of boards and commissions, so you have like a different perspective on a lot of different things. So how do you balance all of those different commitments, and what does a week to week or day to day look like for you?
Oh, it's very busy. There are lots of boards and commissions. But I tell you what those boards and commissions provide me, whether it's the African American Leadership Group at the United Way, or whether it's Faith Action International, or whether it's Preservation Greensboro Inc., or whether I'm going over to the Recovery Cafe at the Presbyterian of the Cross. It's really me listening. It's not me talking. It's not me sharing what I think and what I feel. I'm really listening and engaging to what the issues are in each of those places, and they're different in each of those places. Uh, but from listening, I get a chance to understand how I can then go to council, go to city staff, and say, what can we do about this, or what can we do about that? That's what I really enjoy. So it's busy and it's hectic. It certainly is. But it's also a learning opportunity. And that's where I think that I'm strongest.
And what's an example of a time that a resident brought a concern to you and it maybe changed your mind or perspective? And how did you bring that new perspective to the council?
Happened just yesterday. I was over at Faulkner Elementary. There was a transportation session there, and I met with some residents who go to church at the church on East Washington Street, and United Institutional, and they were telling me that there's a railroad track there that causes problems when the car goes over it. And I said, well, I have been on that street 1,000 times. I've been on there at the IRC. I drive down towards A&T, towards the gas station there. They say, exactly. I said, I haven't seen anything. I went by there last night and took pictures of it. In my car, I don't know what I've been doing before, but when my car went over it, it just shook and rattled and rolled. And so I took that information. I've gotten that to our city staff. We're going to get with DOT. But it's that kind of stuff. It's just sometimes it's not the big meetings. It's not the town halls. It's the one-on-one conversations that can make a difference. And who knows who else's car has been damaged by that railroad track. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah, and we see that a lot of times the council members receive a lot of criticism, a lot of times. So reflecting on your time there, what are some things that people might not see that might be a misconception? And then with that, what's something you feel like you've gotten right, but also want to take accountability that maybe say that council does get this wrong sometimes too?
Yeah, one misconception, folks don't realize this is a part-time job. It's truly a full-time job, because if you're doing it right and you're engaging with folks, it's a full-time job. But technically, it's a part-time job, and I have another full-time job on top of it, and I have to make some decisions as to how I'm going to and where I'm going to, and be respectful of both and not cross them over. Something that, like, this question is something that. Ask the question again. The second part of the question.
What are some things that you also feel like that the council is doing well that might not get highlighted as much?
Oh yeah, the one thing that we do well is that when you're on the outside looking in, it looks like we are lone wolves, and I alone can fix it, or I can change it. I can make the difference. When you get in there and you realize that there are 9 council members, there's 1 mayor, there's 3 of us who are at large, and 5 from the district. It's totally about collaboration. It doesn't matter how great my idea is. It doesn't matter how smart I am. It doesn't matter how any of that stuff. If I can't get myself 4 other folks to go with me, then nothing gets done. You might hear me screaming and yelling and running down the street with my hair on fire, but nothing gets done. It's the part of the collaboration. A lot of folks don't like that piece because, it's my idea and I want to take it and run with it. You got to be able to collaborate. You got to be able to share. Got to be able to explain and bring folks with you. Help them to understand the gravity of an issue. And I don't know that folks really think that. A lot of folks think that we can just independently make a decision. No, we got to have somebody go with us.
Yeah, and then the other part of that part was, what is something that maybe people do criticize the council on that is justified?
Wow, that's a tough question, Lily. Gosh, we have a lot of sometimes we don't always listen as well as we should. And I'll be very honest with you, when it comes to those, the first Tuesday of the month, we have 2 council meetings a month. The first one is what we call the speakers. Speakers from the floor can come in with 3 minutes of whatever they want to talk about. They can talk about pet rocks or clouds. Have at it. Oftentimes, folks bring their concerns in. And it may be because we haven't been listening to them or addressing their concerns on a day-to-day basis. Maybe we haven't engaged them enough. So they come to council and they give us the business for 3 minutes. And oftentimes oftentimes what will happen from that is that a chord will hit and it'll resonate and we'll move with it. That happened just last month, where the question was about police accountability, and one gentleman, there were 20 some speakers, but one gentleman said something. I won't say his name, but I remember his name because I wrote it down. He says, "How can we make each other safe?" Simple question, but it hit me. And that's from me to you, that's from GPD to you, that's from you to G. It encompasses all of it. And so we started a conversation, and we're having a special work session tomorrow to address those kinds of issues. So we don't always get it right. We don't always listen. We don't always engage, but we have venues that allow folks to come in and share that with us.
And then I want to go back to your priorities and your platforms that you're trying to help in the city. Can you list that again, just to make sure that we've got it?
My priorities are number one, economic development, then two, public safety, three, housing, and then community engagement. Those are my 4 pillars.
So how has that already shown up in your term so far?
Economic development. Wow. Since I've been on council, we have brought in over $20 billion in new capital investment, more than 23,000 new jobs, and we've retained over 1,100 jobs. And what that means is that our economy has resources to do things like buy houses, rent homes, buy cars, go to the First Horizon Coliseum, go to the International Civil Rights Center and Museum. You have the resources to do that for yourself and for your family. Public safety. I joined council in September of 21. In November of 21, I made the motion to direct the city manager to fully staff GPD so that we had enough officers on the streets to protect and to serve. Took a little bit of time, a little bit longer, but as of the last classes that we brought in 24, early 25, we've reached that capacity. Also been a part of supporting the increase of pay for public safety officers from 39,000 up to 60,000. Now, I don't know about you, but for $39,000 to put your life on the line every day is a tough thing to do. Now that we've gone from 39 to 60, we've seen so much more interest in coming and protecting and serving. We got to make sure that the folks coming in are good folks and going to take care of us, truly to protect and to serve. But those are just 2 of the things.
And then you have conversations, like you say, with the council members. It's a collaborative effort.
Yes.
So with housing, there's a lot of talk about mixed-use development. And
Yes.
you also have to try and balance, bringing in the big businesses, but also trying to help the small businesses out at the same time. So what are your plans that are already in place that you're looking forward to carrying out in the next term that you are starting right now?
What I mentioned before, that every district in Greensboro needs to look like all of Greensboro.
Yes.
And it's not concentrating any one thing like low-income housing in any one district. We've done some of that in districts 1 and 2. We got to stop doing that. Instead, the real solution is the mix. You have low income, and then you have market rate. You have multifamily. You have single family. You have senior homes. You have McMansions. We need to encourage all of that because, we have the housing challenge of the road to 10,000. The road to 10,000. We need 10,000. We need at least 10,000 homes between now and 2030. We technically need about 48,000 homes. The reason is that when companies like Jet Zero come into Greensboro with their 14,560 jobs, they got to have a place to live. If we don't make that space to live in Greensboro, they're going to move to Burlington and Kernersville and Randleman and Lexington. Now, we've incentivized them to come here. But if they come here, but the people are living other places, spending their money other places, it doesn't benefit us. So we've got this massive rush to make sure that we can house the people that we're employing and they can become a part of our community, not Burlington, not Davidson, not Alamance counties.
And where does that money come from to go from not having the amount of housing that we need to all of a sudden having the amount of housing that matches the amount of economic development that we're trying to have?
Yeah, it's multifaceted. Part of it is budgeted monies that we have that we use to incentivize. But the developers themselves, they bring the developments in. They see a locale, municipality, whether it's Greensboro or Charlotte or Raleigh, they say, you know, I can do something there. It's incumbent upon us to make the landscape good for them. Make sure that we're the easiest place to do business, that our permitting process isn't so slow because they're investing tens of millions of dollars. If we slow walk it, then they're going to go to a community that doesn't slow walk it, because remember, it's an investment for them and they're building and they're putting their money into it. We got to make sure they're comfortable. But at the same time, we got to make sure that our residents don't get inundated with, you know, concentration of one thing or another, but they have the amenities. And then we're planning for fire, we're planning for police, we're planning for trash services. It's really multifaceted in what kinds of funds we provide or services we provide. And I'm here for it. I'm excited about it. It's an exciting time to be in Greensboro. We haven't seen growth like this in a long time, and we've only just begun, especially on that 421 corridor going towards Toyota. So that's your southeast, east, and northeast. They're going to take off like ever before. Get a camera, get a video camera, take some video. In 15 years, you won't recognize that community.
And is that your long-term vision for Greensboro? Like, you know, everyone has like a 5-year plan or so, but if you get reelected and then at the end of this term, what do you want people to say that you did to change Greensboro?
I want folks to say that Hugh Holston was a catalyst for change across all of Greensboro, but he also recognized that there are some places that needed some extra added investment, and he was a champion for that also. And now that we have the housing and we have the booming businesses, this is a thriving community. I don't want to be Charlotte. I don't want to be Raleigh. I want to be Greensboro, but I want us to thrive here. And I also want us to be in a position where, and we're uniquely situated with students. North Carolina A&T, UNCG, Guilford College, Greensboro College. I can keep High Point University. But when I speak with the students and ask them, those graduating students, what are you going to do? They always look away and say, well, I'm going to go to Houston or go to LA. They don't say Greensboro. One of my challenges is that when I talk to those students on the graduating days, they're going to say, I'm staying here because I have a job and a career and a family. I love Greensboro. I'm going to stay here. That's another one of my goals.
And with all of that being said, I mean, we mentioned a lot today, but if someone just had like just a few seconds with you, maybe a minute, and they approached you maybe at a community event or just out and about and said, why should I give you my vote? What would your response be?
I would be, one is that I have a passion for the community, and that really is the crux of it. But at the same time, I do have the experience of being on city council. And there's a benefit to having that steady hand, someone there that's seen the ropes and also understands what the pitfalls may be and what not to fall into. But at the same time, someone who's willing, using that passion, to drive for something better in the future. This is not about complacency. This is not about resting on laurels. This is about how far can we take this community? Let's drive it. And my leadership is going to help us get there.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lily. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, Lily Bugs. I'm Lily Otis, journalism student and founder of Not Just Headlines. And did you know that 95% of the people who watch our videos aren't even subscribed to the YouTube channel? And if we've helped you at all, we're just asking you to do one thing to support our mission: subscribe, because we want to make sure that everyone is voting local, not just headlines.